Here we go, Watership Down, audiobook by me. This is episode 7, Delendre in the River. As Dandelion ended, Acorn, who was on the windward side of the little group, suddenly startled and sat back with his ears up, his nose twitching. The strange, rank smell was stronger than ever, and after a few moments, they all heard heavy movement close by. Suddenly, on the other side of the path, the fern parted, and there looked out a long, dog-like head. Striped black and white, it pointed downward, the jaws grinning, the muzzle close to the ground. Behind, they could just discern great, powerful paws and a shaggy black body. The eyes were peering at them, full of savage cunning. The head moved slowly, taking in dusky lengths of the wood ride in both directions, and then fixed them once more with fierce, terrible gaze. Ooh. For long moments it gazed, and the rabbits remained motionless, staring back without a sound. Then Bigwig, who was nearest to the path, turned and slipped back amongst the others. "Delendre," he muttered as he passed through them. "It may be dangerous, and maybe not, but I'm not taking no chances with it. Let's get away." They followed him through the fern and very soon came upon another parallel path. Bigwig turned into it and broke into a run. Dandelion overtook him, and the two disappeared amongst the ilex trees. Hazel and the others followed the best they could, with Pipkin limping and staggering behind, his spear driving him on in spite the pain in his paw. Hazel came out the other side of the ilex trees and followed the path around the bend. Then he stopped dead and sat back on his haunches. Immediately in front of him, Bigwig and Dandelion was staring out from the sheer edge of the high bank. And below the bank ran a stream. This was, in fact, the little river Inborn, 12 to 15 feet wide. At this time of year, 2 or 3 feet deep with spring rain. But the rabbits, it seemed immense, such a river that they never imagined. You know, it's like crossing the river Styx or something, right? So if they ask for the boatman, right, he's going to end up being a skeletonized chipmunk with a robe, right? Pay 1 carat to get aboard.
Probably.
Yeah. The moon is almost set at night and was now dark. But they could see the water faintly shining as it flowed and can just make out on the further side a thin belt of nut and alders. Somewhere beyond, a plover called 3 or 4 times and was silenced. Probably some sort of night bird, right?
Yep.
One by one, most of them came up and stopped at the bank and looked at the water without speaking. A chilly breeze was moving, and several of them trembled as where they sat. "Well, this is a nice surprise, Hazel," said Bigwig at length. "Or were you expecting this when you took us into the wood?" Hazel realized wearily that Bigwig was probably going to be troublesome. He was certainly no coward, but he was likely to remain steady only as long as he could see his way clear and be sure of what to do. To him, perplexity was worse than danger, and when he was perplexed, he usually grew angry. The day before, Fiver's warning had troubled him. He had spoken in anger to the Thera, and left the Ausla. Then, when he was in an uncertain mood about the idea of leaving the warren, Captain Holly had to appear in capital time to be attacked and provide a perfect reason for departure. Now at the side of the river Styx, Bigwig's assurance was leaking again unless he, Hazel, could restore it in some way. They're likely to be in for trouble. He thought of the Thera in his wily courtesy. I don't know what we would have done without you, Bigwig. Just now, Bigwig, he said. What was that animal? Would it have killed us? Alendre, said Bigwig. I've heard about them in the Ausla. They're not really dangerous. They can't catch a rabbit that runs, and nearly always you can smell them coming. They're funny things. I've heard of rabbits living almost on top of them and coming to no harm. But they're best avoided at the same time. They'll dig out a rabbit, kittens, and they'll kill an injured rabbit when they find one. They're 1 in 1,000, all right, and we ought to guess from the smell, but it was new to me. It had killed before it met us, said Blackberry with a shudder. I saw blood on its lips. A rat, perhaps, or pheasant chicks. Lucky for us it had killed, or likely it might have been quicker. Still, fortunately, we did the right thing. We really came out of it very well, said Bigwig. Fiver came limping down the path with Pipkin, and they two checked and stared at the side of the river. What do you think we ought to do now, Fiver? Asked Hazel. Fiver looked down at the water and twitched his ears. We shall have to cross the river of Styx. We shall have to cross it, he said, but I don't think I can swim. Hazel, I'm worn out, and Pipkin's a good deal worse than I am. Cross it? Cried Bigwig. What the fuck you want to cross it for? Why do you want to cross this shit? I've never heard such horse shit. Where's the bridge? Like all wild animals, rabbits that can swim have to. Some even swim when it suits them. Rabbits have been known to live on the edge of a wood and regularly swim the brook to feed on the fields beyond. But most rabbits avoid swimming, especially exhausted rabbits who cannot swim the inborn. I don't want to jump in there, says Speedwell. Why don't we just go along the bank for Christ's sake, says Hawkbit. Hazel suspected if Fiber was to ought to cross the river, it would be dangerous not to. But how were the others to be persuaded? Well, you could always pull out a gun or maybe threaten them, yeah. He said, I'm going to have Bigwig here stump your ass. But at this moment, he was still wondering what to say to them. Swim or die, that's what I would have said. Suddenly, he realized something had lightened his spirits. What could it be? A smell, a sound. Then he knew, nearby, across the river, a lark had begun to twitter and climb. It was morning. A blackbird called 1 or 2 deep, slowing notes, and was followed by a wood pigeon. Soon they were in the gray twilight and could see the stream border the further edge of the wood. On the other side lay the fields of Flanders. The open fields. That is the end of number 7, episode 7 of Watership Down. Well, could we say that the guys are doing kind of okay right now? Maybe.
Nah, Hazel's fighting off another mutiny. Lucky for him, the food is across the river.
Usually food is a good motivator to cross that river, isn't it?
Yeah.
Usually it's a good motivator.
Yeah, they're tired. They're afraid. Food across the river. Just one more hurdle. Just one more.
One more hurdle. Just get in the water and swim. The rest of the police ain't gonna. There's no word about the police, so they got away. So we're gonna see what happens with Hazel and his little merry band of renegades in episode 8. And I did this one in record time, 9 minutes and 47 seconds. Huh?
Yep.